This year we have decided that it's about time we utilise some of the material that we chop down when we're doing the coppicing, when we're doing any of the clearing and tidying up and crown lifting of trees, etc. So we're going to put it to good use and do some dead hedging. Hello, I'm Rosy Hardy. This is Rosy Hardy Gardening. If you enjoy our videos, please do subscribe to the channel. Now, dead hedges are a very, very old traditional way of putting in a barrier, and that is basically all they are. So instead of putting in fencing, etc., to keep stock in one area corralled or just in a small paddock, or even mending a gap in a hedge, then the easiest way to go about it is to find the sticks and the branches that are lying around and then literally laying them one on top of the other, all in the same direction, because actually it makes a much better, much stronger hedge if they're all laid out in the same direction. And these can be also used as stakes in the ground to hold it all in there, but it is something that has been used by nomad people for a long time. All sorts of different places around the world you will find dead hedges being used for stock hedging, and it just is a temporary hedge that can go up there, or it can be left for a lot longer. Now, it's become something that is being used and utilised a lot in ecological places because they have found that it is a really good habitat for all sorts of beneficial insects, also for protection for mammals and maybe even nesting birds actually able to use these dead hedges. And with this idea of not having to take your waste away, so things that will rot down, such as twigs and sticks, etc., will eventually rot down. They will then get beautiful mycelium in them. You've got fungi growing in them. That is good for the area around them as well. So you are utilising something without having to take it off site. Now, previously to this, my husband used to love a bonfire, and he would just fire it up and we'd get rid of it. And I used to go, that's actually quite a waste, and it's very wasteful doing that. So now we are keeping all of the brush and the brash and everything else, and we're going to start putting dead hedges in places. First one that I'm going to do is here on the edge of the nursery. At the moment we have a rope to stop people coming and walking into this woodland area coppice behind us. So we're going to start off and we'll see how far we get, and I've already put one post in here already. So I'm making these original posts from the hazel that we coppiced a lot earlier in the season. So these bits of hazel are really good as your upright posts, and you're going to be putting them in probably every 45 centimetres, every 18 inches. Depends on how strong you want the hedge to look, depends on how pretty you want the hedge to look. So are you putting these dead hedges in as an ornamentation? There are some beautiful pictures out there on the internet of people who have made really unique dead hedging and then put seating in the middle of it. Why not? It's brilliant. It works very, very well, especially if you're using slightly smaller stuff like willow and hazel and also birch. You know, they make wonderful dead hedges. So we're going to cut up a whole mass of these into the lengths that we require, somewhere around about that length, so that they can go into the ground. Then we just hammer them in, try and have the top bit flat, and then we'll put a little bit of an angle on the bottom piece of the post so that they'll go into the ground quite nicely. This ground is actually quite soft, so the posts go in quite well. I'm not worried if they are all different heights. It really doesn't matter too much for me. I just want to make an area here, and this hedge is not going to be straight either, because I'm starting off at an area here. So these are going to be coppiced next year, which means that their wood will make the extension of the dead hedge in that direction. At the moment we have a gap going right the way up here, so this is where we're going to start the dead hedge and keep on going, and I'm going to make it in a nice sort of serpentine, or that is the idea. We'll see what happens in actual making of how this goes, but first of all I've got to get all of these posts cut up so that I've got the area to be able to put the dead brush into after that. Now I've got two types of wood from what I had before. So I've got these which are going to make my upright posts, which we're going to put in here, and they're going to run parallel to each other, and they will then be in a triangular shape so that they aren't exactly opposite, which means that your wood, when you lay it in, is held in a much better way. We then have the bits of brash that were off the top like this, which are going to be our starting point for laying down on the ground and going through. I've got lots of small bits of brash as well, and we will stamp it down and make it as tight as possible. It will take a lot of material, and that's why you need to be thinking about what you're going to do, because it looks as though it doesn't take much, but you need to keep on filling it up. We have stacks in the background there. We've also done some tree work over in the nursery. We've got a lot of that to use up, so I'm hoping we are going to be able to create a good long dead hedge here. Recently I set up an email newsletter, and if you want to sign up, then please click in the comments link below or scan the QR code on the screen now. If you sign up, you get an exclusive video. This is a video of me explaining colour combinations and plant combinations in real gardens. So as we go along now, we have the start of our fences here. We've got our posts going in at around about 18 inches, 45 centimetres. They are gradually coming right the way through. I'm not worried if they are at different heights. Now we have one of these wonderful thumping sticks, but you may not have one of those at home. This is because we used to do a lot of fence work, and so these are actually quite useful from that point of view. You would more than likely have a mallet or a lump hammer to be able to get these in. Perhaps also have a look at whether or not you do a starter hole with something like a spike that you can put in the ground and start the hole off, and then that makes your life a little bit easier. We're on quite soft ground here, so these are going to go in quite nicely. Now my kind assistant here, Steve, this is not my son by the way, is going to help me with putting all of these in, just because it's a little bit easier, and I am just marking them out. So you saw this one had fallen over. These aren't in the ground. I've literally just put them there to mark out exactly where I want them. We're going to start with the outside row, get those there, and then these ones here are coming in the middle, so we've got a triangle, and we're going to carry on with this every other one on this side. And again, I've made it around about 18 inches, 45 centimetres wide. Okay, do you want to have a go? It's nice and soft, isn't it? Yep, so they're going in. Yeah, brilliant. That's good. Yeah, great stuff. Do you want to show them how they would go with a lump hammer? Oh, it's not as easy with the lump hammer, I know. Straighten them up.
Down a bit more.
Yeah. Well, that just finishes it off. Brilliant. Yeah, that's great, isn't it? Yeah, so if we can we'll try and get them all in a basic level and then keep on going. Right, if you want to carry on putting them in, and I will keep out your way and put some here so that we know where we're going with them. Some of these are slightly thinner sticks. I'm not too worried. We have a thick one, a thin one, and that works quite nicely. Then we are gradually coming out around the tree, so we're doing this in a slight serpentine curl, which is what I wanted. I didn't want it to be a total straight line. That one's a little bit wonky. We might leave that for a little bit later. We may find when we get to the tree, you might get tree roots, so you need to just see what you're doing. And I'm not measuring this, this is all done by eye. And as soon as you've got this idea of them going through, we've got them all firmed in, then we'll start looking at filling it up. So here we go, this is all of them starting to go in. We're getting a better height. You can see we have the double layer here. and using this hedge thumper, it's so much easier to get the posts in. We'll do a little bit more and then we'll come back and show you how we're getting on. So having had my help who's put in all of these wonderful stakes, I'm now able to fill this up with all of the brash and the heavier wood and everything else that we've got. Now I can make this much thicker, but at the moment all I'm trying to do is get myself an initial layer. It looks good, and then once we see how much more wood we've got, I can then push it down and put more on top. Now if you were doing this and wanting to make it really full, you would really pack it in. But at the moment what I'm trying to do is create this barrier, and I need to go at least 4 times the amount that I've got already, and I haven't got enough brash here. I'm going to have to pull some more from the other side, which I actually need to, because I need to put it all in here. But I just want it to look good, and so this is where I'm going for the time being. I will get it up to about this height. I'll show you the finished article when we get that far, but at the moment I am very pleased with how this is creating a nice curve coming through, coming around the back of these trees, and then just heading off up to the side. So I've done about half of what I've built here so far. As we go on through the next couple of weeks, we will build it up and get everything done. It's quite a long process, but it's a very satisfying process. It's a matter of cutting bits up, and when you put them in, you can weave them in, and hopefully by the time I've finished, I might also be able to weave a bit on the top to make it look really fun. So what have I done with this? I have got tiny little brash down here all filled in at the bottom. Then I put a layer of slightly bigger stuff on, and then I've put the whippy long stuff on top of here. I'll put some more heavy on top of this. That will then take that down. When I get more of the tiny brash, it will get filled in and put into this as well. I'm building from one side, and I am continually tying in when stuff is there. I'm making sure that it's going in, that it's going into the bits like that, so that it is all tucked in, so if you're going to brush past it, it will look really tidy. There are even pieces that I've had to take off the tree, so they've ended up in here. Nothing is going to waste, and in fact I've also got some grass bits, and they will all end up in here. It just gives a load of different types of layers. So where it's slightly more open, the birds will be able to get in. Where it's slightly more closed and there are hollow sticks and that sort of thing of the dead bits of grass and that type of material, that's really good for where beetles and all those sorts of creatures can get in as well. So this is going to be a really good ecological home, as well as being a good cut-off point for the nursery, so that it makes it slightly tidier into this bit of woodland. I've managed to get this quite well filled up now. You can see I've used all sorts of different sizes of wood going through here. I found a load of brash that had been cut out of one of the hedges, and this is the beauty of these dead hedges. And you're making it look a little bit like a layered hedge, but this one will not come back to life. So everything is laid in here. All of the material is facing exactly the same way as it's put in, and then you just basically keep on following right the way through. I've got lots more to do. We've put more of our little posts in. Once I've got to the end, I'm then going to find some really good bits, and I'm going to weave it around in these and just tidy it up, because this one is not for huge density. This is so that we've got a barrier, so that when people come into the nursery, they're not having to look straight into my nettle area. And the nettles are there for a reason. The nettles are there for the caterpillars, because they are good food for all of our beautiful butterflies, the red admirals that come out later in the year. They need somewhere for their caterpillars to eat, so that's why the nettles are kept in there. But it's nicer for the customers if they've got something like this. It also gives me an idea, and I can work on this, and we can get rid of any of the material. We've had to crown lift some of the trees on the nursery, so we've got all of that top brash. So this is a good way of utilising that brash, and as this all breaks down we can fill on top of it, and that is really what we're trying to do. We're just trying to create this. It will become a wildlife haven. I'm sure the birds are going to find, especially the wrens, they will want to nest in here, and then we'll get a lot of insects also, and some of the little tiny voles, etc. And it's all about wanting to have a better ecological environment here on the nursery. I hope you managed to get some interest out of this and what it's going to do, and you'll be able to try this at home if you've got plenty of area, or even if you've got a small area. You can make a small dead hedge and it will make a huge amount of difference, and it's a tidy way of having the piles of sticks and brash there, and you can make it look as pretty as you want. Thank you very much for watching, and please do subscribe to the channel. If you want to watch another video of mine, YouTube thinks this one is perfect for you.